I'm planning to post a more like stylized version of my end of season games later, but also wanted to do just a very bare reflection now as well on all of it. So, as a disclaimer, this is not really like informative at all. If you're looking for something like educational about League, it's more my own sort of mental narrative through the end of season climb. Um, so for some background on how the rank ladder works, it's like the least competitive early in the season and like gets more serious as the season goes on and like really heats up in the last like month or so as everyone tries to finish the season challengers. So like for NA challengers like the top 300 spots, and so there's like a cutoff which the cutoff always goes up like I don't know 100 LP or something at the end of the season or more. I don't know. But what that creates is a lot of suspense, like if you should play or not. Because if you're at like 600 LP, and the cutoff is currently 550. It might go up to 650 by the end of the season. So you're like, well, I'm challenger now, but probably won't be at the end of the season. So you want to sort of guess like what the cutoff is going to be at the end because you can bank 10 days before you decay. So like ideally, you don't want to be playing any games in the very like last 10 days of the season because especially in like the last few days, it's almost sort of a coin flip if you can even like queue up and get a game without like just getting constantly dodged or gate capped by like trolls or whatever. Um, but even before then, you can just get unlucky. So you want to like give yourself enough time to climb. So basically, in like the last few weeks, the games become more competitive, and they're like more just good players and boosters floating around in solo queue, and games just become like a lot more serious and intense. And since like everyone else is trying really hard to win, or not, a lot of people are. If you play bad, it's just really easy to like get gobbled up by everyone else grinding challenger. And so that's basically what was happening to me like a month or two ago. I got um, to like 800 LP spamming Zillion, but after that, just like tilted down or something. I don't, maybe not even tilting, just like was playing bad, and everyone else was playing better. So um, I felt like I was not like on track to finish challenger this season, which is sort of different from previous seasons where I felt like I could just sit on my rank and like didn't need to improve much at the end of the season or anything. Whereas this season, I was playing like really like lackadaisically for a while and feeling like I could just like make a bunch of mistakes and still deserve to win. Um, but especially at the end of the season, you just can't get away with that since like other people are trying so hard. And like even if you feel like you're playing better than some or all of your teammates in games, like it's still not enough to get challenger if you're not playing at a challenger level. So, and for a while I just wasn't. So I was just like dropping down in solo queue, eventually to like 400 LP. And to be clear, it wasn't like I was like tilted or anything. I was just playing bad. Like I think sometimes it's easier to blame losses on mentality, like to say, "Oh, I was just tilted" or something. And just, no, I was just playing bad. Um, so like I'd make a lot of mistakes in lane, die, get outroamed, and just like not do much to win. And I think also critically, I really was not sure what champion I wanted to spam. I feel like I usually climb by like finding a champion that's working for me, and didn't really have one at the moment. Like over the season, I had played mostly Janna as well as Sona, Yumi, and Zillion, and some others. But in hindsight, I ended up spamming Sona. But like at the time, recently, that wasn't even my most played champion. So it was not a sure thing. So the first reason I felt like playing more Sona was just like the games felt better. Even the losses felt like I could have won had I played better, which is always the feeling of like, well, I lost this, but I could have won it is really good. Um, the second reason was I started playing a bit of Sona Soraka, like duo bot. And also the TLDR on that is like it's great for coin flipping a win if you get like a good team comp with like Hecarim jungle, Aurelia top, something like that. But it makes the queues take like really long with more Sona bans as well. And I also wasn't confident winning the lane against a lot of like lanes. Um, but what I did get out of it was like the Athene spike in Ardent with Presence of Mind. Like Presence of Mind feels really good for mana. I don't know. And also feeling like even when playing Sona support, you can sort of play it as a carry and like take some CS without being penalized because like just how the support item works. Um, and then the third and final reason was I watched Cupic play a really high elo game where his top side got like totally smashed, and it should have been a free loss, but he somehow like pulled it back by stomping lane with Sona and like playing fights cleanly with great ults, and it was like okay, well, you can win hard games with Sona. So basically, what happened then was I played like 80 Sona games in a week, and honestly, it felt like I put like half my season 10 in at like the very end in that moment or week. Um, so on the mental side of playing that many games, like I was saying, I was playing really sloppily and lazily at first. So like the first step was just like accepting I needed to play tighter to deserve challenger. And like even after improving, say I could win like 66% of my games, it would still take a lot of games to gain the like 200-ish LP I was sort of estimating I would need to finish challenger. So playing that many games in solo queue and staying like fully focused through all the games is pretty hard. I think a lot of people sort of inevitably mental boom trying to grind out all the games like that because like there will always be some doom games. And so as always, I think muting chat is really helpful to conserve your attention. I just had it disabled for a while. I also started listening to music from Two Steps from Hell. Also, by the way, at the end of season 9 as well, I started listening to like Drink the Sea from like Glitchmog. And so I think maybe the secret to grinding music is for it to not have lyrics because they're kind of distracting, but like to still be sort of intense or like epic sounding because it really did feel like an intense and like epic climb, um, grinding all the games. Um, but also the one thing that I had to force myself to do to like preserve the mental was to take breaks. And it's really hard to take breaks because like my instinct after a game is to just like queue up again. And especially because like queue times take like 30 minutes sometimes between games. It felt like a waste of time to like why not just queue up again? But I think taking a short break, like not even sitting in queue, but just like going away from the computer for a bit and doing something, um, turns out to be really helpful. Also, I should actually mention, by the way, in terms of breaks, I actually got like legitimately banned for a few days for dying so much on Sona in a game I went 2-15 in. I think it was like Riot trying a new automated system, and it thought I was like literally, deliberately, intentionally feeding. But fortunately, they repealed the ban. Um, and in hindsight, I think the break from rank turned out to be helpful. And then one other thing I should mention as well is that I fixed my Ethernet a while ago, um, which probably made a pretty big difference in hindsight. I think going from Wi-Fi to Ethernet, because the Wi-Fi was sort of unreliable with like disconnects, whereas the Ethernet is like pretty consistent, either like 10 or 11 or like 27 or 28 ping. So anyway, I'll also say on shorter breaks between the games, like it's easy to like lose touch with how you're feeling while grinding and like let your mental state sort of degrade without like realizing it until you just like feel really bad. Um, so what I told myself is after every game, I'd get up and do one small good thing for myself, like go do laundry, get water, take a shit, exercise, shower, whatever, go make garlic bread, whatever. Um, and obviously, these things, some of them take more or less time. But the point is, you estimate like 5 minutes longer, or whatever. The point is always just to like not forget to take care of yourself nicely. Um, but then a lot of the time after I felt like I won a game, I was feeling good. I just wanted to play another one. So I ended up only forcing myself to take breaks after like losing games. Um, but I did say like after a loss, I do have to take a break for just a short break, and I could really feel the difference. So like I would play a tilting game, lose, and then I would go take a break, and like later I'd get back in a new game with the same people from the tilting game before, and I would see that like while I was off like eating my garlic bread, chilling, they were just sort of stewing in their own misery, and it clearly wasn't good for their mental in the next game or like in general. Um, it's just easy to just browse the internet or something while immediately queuing up for another game after a loss. But I think if you get up and like do something small like nice for yourself, it's good because it's very easy to neglect yourself while playing League for hours and hours. But I think it's better for your mental in the next game and in general if you just take care of yourself between the games. So, anyways, also, though, like I said, mentality is sort of irrelevant if you're just not playing well. So, what did I actually have to do to improve Persona? I mean, I think mainly in lane, not dying, using Q from range, just like laning well. Maybe also like ulting more cleanly. Even as I was climbing, I felt like I was missing a lot of flash ults or ults in general. Like I would try to engage and like not hit anybody. Um, in terms of build, like I said, I realized presence of mind feels really good in terms of mana to the extent that you don't need tier. Not like Seraph is bad or anything. I'm sure it's also a good build, but just that if you go Athene's Ardent Crucible, you have like an earlier spike with Athene's, as well as having things like Crucible. Crucible feels really good in a lot of games once you get used to the active. I think a lot of the stuff that like loses you the game is like someone gets hit by a CC. So like having Crucible active um, is a big like win condition, I guess. I don't know. As well as the healing on Crucible. So Crucible's yeah, great item if you practice using the active. But it's funny though. I don't think there's anything like really revolutionary or surprising that I did on Sona. I think it's just about like playing lane cleaner, playing fights cleaner. I don't know, just like tightening it all up, not making as many just like silly mistakes or deaths. Um, I think also pushing more aggressively for advantages and dives when playing strong side or like punishing roams, and also on the flip side, when on weak side, going even and not getting dove. Um, and just like going even and slowly winning on Sona in general. I feel like only in high elo do people understand like what makes people win or lose the game, like who's contributing and who's not to the team. And so like people are better at like identifying the moment things go wrong, like be it in champ select or failed play in the game or whatever. So like people have a pretty good sense of like how Sona wins the game. I don't know. But anyway, even as I was climbing, I felt like I was having like one bad trade or one bad dive that could potentially lose the game for our team. So I was thinking I could sort of fix that and improve more and climb even higher after improving. But when I hit like 653 LP, I figured that would also probably be past the cutoff for challengers when the season finishes. So then I was like, I'm done. But then I wanted to play one more game. I was sort of, you're always like nervous if the challenger cutoff is going to go higher. I just wanted to play more. Um, and so I wasn't sure if maybe this is a terrible idea, but I figured I still had enough time. I could get it back if I lost after a short break, of course. And so fortunately, I won. I got to 674 LP, which is where I plan to leave it until the season ends, since it should be safely challenger. And actually, in the moment, I was too like focused to enjoy climbing. But in hindsight, like the intense end of season games are really good. Like people try a lot harder than usual to win. Actually, so much harder. But now I think I'm just gonna like enjoy myself, play some Sona Bot, Sona Soraka, Seraphine, whatever. Season 11, I'll be a Seraphine main. Who knows? I don't know. Um, Definitely learn Seraphine. That would be fun. I got a skin. Um, uh, Also, it'll be a lot of fun watching people currently at 400 LP try to finish Challenger because they're all trying to climb at the same time. All the people like 500 LP, 550, 450, whatever. Um, so it's sort of like the meme in The Simpsons where like everyone's just like watching the monkeys fight each other. Like the last few days of the season, like most people have their ranks set, like they're finished challenger, or they haven't, whatever. Um, and so everyone's just sort of like spectating the few people like close to challenger but not quite there, like trying to grind out their last end of season games. Like who's trolling, who's carrying, like just 450 LP players like really sweating the games out, sort of like playing for like 25 hours straight, just like grinding it out. So those end of season games are always really exciting.